So up next, we've got this TikTok from somebody who openly admits to recruiting children at a day camp to communism. Let's roll it.
I was a camp counselor for 1 week and turned an entire cabin of 13-year-olds into leftists. Here's how. It started on day one when the kids of their own volition decided to have an election to see who would be president of the cabin. They had me track votes anonymously, and I may have broken the tie in favor of the obviously queer kid. Another kid who was weirdly obsessed with Russian history then asked if he could be Mikhail Gorbachev to the cabin, to which I said, I don't think so. You could be Karl Marx, though? He was thrilled. The kids then, somewhat clumsily, started discussing the merits of their communist government. It probably would have ended there, but on day two, the president told me that he had trouble sleeping the night before and asked me if I had anything to read. I had exactly one book with me, The ABCs of Socialism. This kid read the entire book in one night. The next day, another kid asked for it, and then another. By day 4, Karl Marx proposed that our cabin cheer be the communist cabin, where everyone is equal, and everyone agreed.
So I am beyond disturbed at this. I mean, there's so many red flags here that make me think this person should not be in a position of authority over children. And I'd be really pissed if I sent my kid to camp and somebody was pushing ideology on them like this, let alone like rigging the elections in favor of the obviously queer kid, which these are young children, so I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, but that's another huge red flag. I guess it's a tangent I won't go into. But like, communism, first of all, is an evil ideology with a 100 million body count in the 20th century. But regardless, like, I wouldn't even want a camp counselor pushing capitalism on my kid. Like, I don't want you pushing your political ideology on my 5-year-old unless I know that's what I'm signing them up for. But if I think I'm sending them to like wilderness camp or whatever, and then you're secretly like pushing Marxist Leninism on them, that's a serious betrayal of trust. That's not okay.
I mean, he's celebrating converting kids with mushy brains when he's in a position of power to his weird ideology. If you sent your kid to camp and their counselor was pushing Nazism on them, how would people react? I think this should be treated the same way. Like I said earlier, I think communism and Nazism are on par. They're equally evil. They have killed as many people, if not more. I think this is abhorrent. I also think it is just, this guy seems really weird and like he has no friends. Why would you bring these kinds of materials to the camp in the first place? If I was a parent, I would be raising hell, demanding my money back. Like, I think I actually would be trying to get this guy canceled because I would not want him alone with my children. This would actually make me quite afraid to send my kids to camp, period, I think, because you just don't know what they're exposed to. But I also will say, this is one thing my parents did really well. You should go ahead and expose your kids to these ideologies before somebody else does, because they will encounter them at some point. And just like government censorship doesn't work and just kind of makes things spread more quickly, if you make something taboo or don't allow your kid to understand, what the alternative ways of thinking are, then I think they're going to be more curious and they're going to get that instruction from somebody besides you. So for me, like, my parents taught me about communism. I read excerpts of communism throughout my homeschool curriculum. I had a very good grasp on what it is and what they believed and what its actual history was, so that when I started encountering it in the wild, I was not susceptible to it because I actually had been given a full and robust education. So I think that's important to do. But I'm with you. I don't think that you should be pushing your political ideology on kids when you're in a position of power, period. I think that's a really odd thing to do.
Obviously, I think communism is evil and I think capitalism is good, but I wouldn't want them pushing Ayn Rand on my kid without my knowledge either. Like, I wouldn't want them giving them the ABCs of capitalism unless I signed them up for like economics camp or something and I knew this.
Right.
But there's a huge betrayal of trust involved when you sign up your kids for one thing and then another agenda, whatever it is thrust upon them by the people that you're entrusting with your children. And I think that's really corrosive and really toxic and inappropriate. And it's just creepy. The whole vibe here is creepy. I don't know. Yeah, I want to actually play another video for you that somebody dropped in the comments. It's one of my favorite viral videos of all time, but it's a professor explaining how she actually showed her class why socialism never works. Take a listen to this.
Let me tell you a scary story. An economics professor at a local college made a statement that she had never failed a single student before, but had recently failed an entire class. The class had insisted that socialism worked, that no one would be poor and no one would be rich, a great equalizer. The professor then said, "Okay, we will have an experiment in this class. All grades will be averaged and everyone will receive the same grade. No one will fail, but no one will receive an A either." After the first test, the grades were averaged and everyone got a B. The students who studied hard were upset, and the students who studied little were happy. As the second test rolled round, the students who studied little studied even less, and the ones who studied hard decided they wanted a free ride too, so they studied little. The second average test result was a D. No one was happy. When the third test rolled round, the average was an F. As the test proceeded, the scores never improved, as bickering, name-calling and blame all resulted in hard feelings, and no one would study for the benefit of anyone else. To their great surprise, all failed. And the professor told them that socialism would ultimately fail, because when the reward is great, the effort to succeed is great. But when the government takes away all the reward, no one will try or want to succeed. And that is socialism, my friends, a race to the bottom.
So that's pretty ruthless. I actually have seen this video before, but I forgot about it. And I think it's a great example because it's true. Humans are not going to perform at their best if it's not for their own sake. This is one thing I adamantly agree with Ayn Rand on. I think that people have to live for themselves. I think that the pursuit of your own goals and your own prosperity is a wonderful incentive. And capitalism is the only system that comes in and actually uses those quote, quote, selfish incentives to where you have to produce good and value for other people in order to meet your own needs. It's a wonderful mechanism. I think it would work even better than it already has throughout history if it were, more protected from the government and infringements upon it. But even with those infringements, it has done more to elevate mankind, to increase the quality of life than anything else that's ever been tried. And communism, while it also, or socialism, call it whatever you want, has also never been perfectly implemented. Every time it's tried, it leads to failure and to a lower quality of life and to death rates. And I think that it's obvious which one we should keep trying. This is a wonderful way to prove that to students, though, because, I often encounter this sort of what I think is a childish lack of understanding of human nature when I talk to people. And it's not just on the left. I've even encountered people sort of in the anarchism communities as well, where they just think humans are good and that the only problem is that the laws that are in place or the systems that are in place, without them, everyone would just kumbaya and get along and do the right thing. And, maybe my view is informed by my Christianity and my background, but I think mankind has fallen. I think human nature is fallible. I think that, there are really seedy sides to our desires and to our instincts, and that most people can be pretty ruthless when it comes to it. And so you need to have people that are constrained by a system of laws. You need incentives that encourage people to work hard and to do the right thing and to care about their fellow man. I don't think that just happens organically for the vast majority of people.
No, it definitely doesn't. And I agree. I think this video kind of masterfully explains the fatal flaw here. And if this camp counselor's cabin actually lived according to equality, I think that it would very quickly fall apart into chaos. But we'll leave it there. Let us know what you think about the communist camp counselor in the comments. I imagine some parents out there will have some thoughts.